Hi everybody, my name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel, Another Yarn. Thank you so much for joining me today. I greatly appreciate it. You know, I was just looking through some of my stuff and I came across a magazine style book. It's a sock construction book that I have, and I've got 2 copies. Do you do that? Do you buy multiple of the same book or magazine? And if you do, was it on purpose? I mean, I think if you've been collecting for a while and you don't necessarily have the computer working up here and you don't realize you have that one because maybe it's not one that you use a ton, you might get it twice. Or like me with my Kindle, I did that not too long ago with my Japanese Stitch Bible book. It's a stitch pattern book, and I have that in print, and I couldn't locate it because, it was like literally 3 feet from me right now, currently. Yeah, whatever. So I ended up buying another copy on Kindle, so then I can actually, for that one, I knew I had 1 copy, didn't know where it was right then, and I bought a second one because I can expand those patterns on the Kindle, the charts and the design work, because that's how that book is. So that one made sense to me. I deliberately did that. All right. But other books or magazines, do you ever get 2 of and not realize it? Or, like I said, in my case, I 100% realized it. I was looking at some of my stuff and I wanted to bring up and show you there are so many resources that we have now that I didn't have 20 plus years ago. My first pair of socks was about 23 years ago. That's the first time I ever made a pair of socks. And we didn't have the internet like we do now to just go searching and everything. I'm not saying that, computers weren't available. That's not what I'm getting at. But it wasn't flushed out like everything is now. Things weren't at your fingertips. You definitely didn't have channels and people assisting in blog sites and stuff like that. It just wasn't, it was in its, at that point, it was in its infancy. So, you didn't go to those realms to learn things. And I had already taught myself how to knit, and I had picked it up pretty heavily a few years previous. So we know I've been knitting for more than 25 years. I don't know. I've been saying 25 for a lot of years, but we've been in Colorado for 25 years now, and I was knitting pretty good before then. So anyway, yeah, it is what it is. So I wanted to make socks, and I never made socks. And then there's this yarn. Oh my gosh, there's a self-patterning yarn, which a lot of us have already seen. Yarns that kind of have a Fair Isle look to them without having to do a bunch of stuff. That was so new to me. I wanted to play with something like, well, okay, like these, right? That has that Fair Isle. That's just the 1 ball of yarn. And it's that nice Fair Isle designed pattern that Just Doing Stockinette gives. And I had never seen that before. My yarn was, purchased at Walmart, or when we were younger, had Lee Ward's and Sears, different places, right? But the fancy yarns we didn't have. And that's definitely a fancy yarn. And, I'd never seen sock yarn before. So I had gone to a store in Colorado called Shuttles. Let me see. What's the name of it? It's now Shuttles Flowers. Yeah. Shuttles Flowers, something like that, in Colorado. What is it? Showers of Flowers. There we go. Not Shuttles. I'm mixing up multiple. So Showers of Flowers was a destination yarn store. Oh my goodness. It was amazing. And I remember getting my first pair of, or my first skein hank of sock yarn. 100-gram skein. This is a 50-gram skein right here. But 100-gram skein, which would make a full pair of socks. And just literally sitting on the floor. Okay, and looking at every single skein of yarn that they had and dreaming about the patterning, because finances were such, 1 ball was all I was going to get. And I think it took me like half hour plus, okay, probably longer than that, to pick out the 1 ball that I wanted. And it was probably around $16 at the time for the 1 skein of yarn, which might as well have been 100. Talk about saving some serious pennies. It might as well have been. And I wanted the most wow factor on that type of sock yarn. So I had asked if they had any, and of course they knew exactly what it was. I'd never heard of it before. And, I'm sitting down over there and looking at it. And then I also wanted a book to show me how to make a pair of socks. All right, this is what I got. So I got the yarn the same brand, the Regia, however you say that. I've never really known 100%, but I have this book. This book has seen better days. It just has. And at the time, I spent $6.95 for a magazine book, right? It's got instructions in it. And I proceeded to attempt to teach myself how to knit a pair of socks. And right before I turned on the camera, I'm looking through here trying to figure out what year this thing was printed. And I can't find it anywhere because I was, out of curiosity. When was this magazine printed? Don't know. And I looked through it a little bit. And it's interesting because obviously I mastered this. I'm not going to lie. This is how I taught myself how to knit socks, and it had me almost in tears. It just did. There were parts of it that I didn't understand, and I don't think it's necessarily that hard. I just didn't get it. I had never done anything like that before. Didn't have anybody I could turn to that had made socks before. And again, we didn't have all the resources. So I had this book, and I taught myself out of this book. And, just looking at it and just kind of reading through, I don't remember, it was part of the heel. I do remember that. It was at the heel flap, heel turn, something along that line. It did not click. To save my life, it did not click. And I just kept reading it over and over, because obviously if you read the paragraph 100 times, at time 100, it's going to make sense where the other 99 didn't, right? And I got it because you've seen me making socks. And the other part that I find interesting, you've got, this book has seen so much love. So you've got this, and over here it says the reinforced heel. So it's giving you that and the instructions. And then the other heel that you've got is just the stockinette, right? Well, my favorite heel flap and turn is not either one of those. Actually, the reinforced, I'm going to play with that one again because that's beautiful. I have done some like that, and that's not my typical go-to vanilla sock pattern, so I definitely learned beyond this. But I was just so struggling. And I think the one that I was playing with was this one back here because it's written for a worsted weight yarn. And I do know that I was really struggling with the worsted weight yarn because I thought I would try it on larger needles and try to get that concept to make the pair of socks. That was such a struggle. Oh my gosh, it was such a struggle. So keep at it. Definitely keep at it. There's so many more resources. And the reason I was asking about the multiple books is, you can see this. Okay, it's gotten some love. It's missing some parts of the page, right? And it's kind of ripped up a bit. And like I said, I've used this book a ton. The other fun part about this one, you've got a lot of them that have the pattern to do the toe socks. My husband loves the Tabi socks. That's what they're called. So the big toe is separate from the rest. So that's one of them. There are a couple other ones. This one right here. Obviously, I wouldn't want to put that little smiley face and stuff. You could. I wouldn't, but you could, right? So again, it's separated out with the toe socks. You got little baby booties. We know how much I love baby booties. No, I have never made those. Although with current situation, I just might. I just might. I might feel encouraged to do so. But there are some great patterns in here. And it's one of the things that I look at is we have so many resources at our fingertips and such a blessing to learn how to do things that we didn't know how to do before. And keep at it, push yourself. So what if a few tears are involved? I'm telling you, I was there. Oh my gosh, I was there and I had nobody to turn to. You have people to turn to. You have resources. You can pick up anything. You can ask questions, which is amazing. And there's some other things with this. Oh, the reason I was saying that, I found another copy. I have a brand new copy of said book. Of course I had to get it. Look at these. Look. They're just, you can see loved, very pristine, right? I have the pristine copy and the loved copy. I'm like, yes. And I did it on purpose. I did. When I saw this, I'm like, I have to get it. Because like I said, this one, it's been through the ringer. It has been through the ringer. And I'm like, I have to have a nice pristine copy of this. Really happy that I purchased it anyway. And the difference in price, when I got this one, it was $6.95 at Showers of Flowers. And this one I also bought here in Colorado. And it was $10.50 at Lamb Spun in Colorado. So, prices of the things definitely went up. I got them years and years apart, a lot of years apart, and just had to get the pristine copy. This is, and I can never pronounce, I'm going to put this one down because that one's the one that's been well loved. That word right there. That word right there. I can't pronounce that. I've never been able to pronounce it. I do know I like the yarn. Yeah, but I don't know how to say it. So it's that. This is number 63. This is the book number 3. And it's Regia sock yarn. And they're obviously the whole book is designed with their sock yarn from fingering weight all the way to worsted weight because they have the different qualities of the yarn. And then you can make their particular socks and patterns. There are some fun, nice things that are in this book. Beyond, here's the sock guide, a beginning tutorial kind of on how to make socks. I did it. It was perseverance. We've talked about that before. Yeah, I have a lot of perseverance. I was not going to let it win. I was not going to let it beat me. It just, you know, if you've never made a pair of socks before, the heel turn can be intimidating. What exactly do you mean on this? I don't know. I've never done this. And the words were fine. It was written fine. It just didn't make any sense to me because, well, I hadn't done it. It took a bit. One of the things now that I've made quite a few pair of socks that I actually really do like about this book, like I said, I don't necessarily think it's, you know, beginner and this is my first pair of socks. I did it. But you've got tables like this. You know, you got all these tables right here. I'm like, oh, what is that? I know you're like, I can't see it. It's not close enough. I get that. Yeah, so there. So you got these huge tables. And what those tables are is, like this one says, hey, size table for socks. Yay, there you go. And it says use, you know, has your gauge, 30 stitches per, you know, per 4 inches, right? Here you got 30 stitches, 22 stitches, 20 stitches, depending on which level of yarn you're using, which thickness of yarn. It tells you, here's your size. And this is European sizes, you know, 22, 23, all the way up. I'm a 38, 39 on European sizes. I do know that I was in Europe. So it does have it in European sizes. You can just Google that. No big deal. But it tells you, hey, this stitch count cast on these stitches. What? So this is not just a book of, you know, 10, 15 different patterns. Like, oh, this has from, you know, tiny feet up to bigger feet. And it tells you this one you're casting on anywhere from 44 stitches to 72 stitches. Okay. Depending what size you want. Brilliant. You know, and a lot of times I do stick with the 64 stitches, but that's just me. That's where I'm at. But I think that is just absolutely such a game changer. And it tells you, okay, here's how many stitches you're going to have on your heel, which is half of your amount of stitches that you've made for your sock. All right, but it has it in the chart. And if you've never done it before, like, oh, I don't have to guess, I don't have to figure it out. I know that because I've made a lot of socks. I didn't know that. That was helpful. So I thought that was good. And it tells you when you're turning your heel, how many stitches you're putting on each sock for the different type of heel turn that it has. Okay, that does make it easier. I just didn't understand all the instructions. Like, oh, there's a lot of cool things that are here for this. I don't know if we can still get this. I got these two years and years apart. Years apart. There's no date on it, which is really sad. I was curious on that because then we could look it up and see, can we get it again? So one of the things that I thought was interesting that I just read right before turning on the camera, because I was trying to find the date, and it says, you know, they've done all the stuff to try to make sure it's as accurate as possible, right? We get that. And this one cracks me up. Okay, all rights reserved, makes sense. No part of this magazine or designs may be reproduced, stored, or used in any form by any means whatsoever, either wholly or in part, without the prior written permission of the publisher. That makes sense. You know, we're not supposed to share this stuff. Pictures of this edition of Inspiration may thus not be scanned in and or stored on a computer or CD or changed either individually or in total together with other pictures without the prior written approval of the publisher. You know, this is just a copy of this one. This, like I said, I got like 23 years ago. CDs were expensive. Computers were, you know what I'm getting at? You know, so I just thought that was really kind of funny. And then a scanner. Whoa, 23 years ago, having to, something where you could scan in pictures like this. I mean, how much money do they think people had, right? Now we just take a picture of it on our phone, but that was not the case, right? And this one having verbatim as this, I'm like, oh, that just cracked me up. It just 100% cracked me up. And I don't know for a fact if this pristine one, wasn't just in the yarn store's collection of things, because we know when we go to local yarn stores, they'll sell magazines. It's like, hey, it's a 2022 magazine. Okay, and you're like, but that's old. Patterns are still good. So they'll still sell the things. They just didn't sell it in 2022 or earlier. So I don't know if both of these, the stores had at a certain time. Maybe this one was just unearthed in a box somewhere and they put it back out on the shelves, and that's why it's in pristine condition, and the printing was the same. But I did find that really funny because, okay, I just dropped both of them, because the price and the cost to scan something in. I would expect that more towards, like a newer book commenting on that, scanning it and everything, keeping it in your hard drive. But with the older one, that was big technology. That was big money. That was a lot of money. So that was really kind of fun and interesting. So I was curious, have you done that? Have you gotten a favorite book and going, I want another copy? I want that. I have loved this one. I would like a pristine copy to have, just because it's nostalgia. Have I made everything out of this? No, I haven't. But it taught me the fundamentals. I wanted to pull my hair out a couple times. I'm not going to lie. I really did. It would have been nice to have had somebody to hold my hand and explain those, because whatever it was, and I can't remember exactly. I was somewhere in the heel turn and I was reading this, and nothing jumps out at me as so difficult, because I've learned. Nothing jumps out as like, oh, no wonder you were hung up. No, because I understand the construction of making a sock. It wasn't difficult. It was me. It wasn't hard. It was 100% me. And I look at so many of the things that we work with now, and different techniques and different patterns and stuff, and going, wow, we can jump on anything nowadays, because if something doesn't quite make sense, we can find somebody who can explain it to us, whether that's somebody that we know in person. Hey, if you're lucky enough, more power to you. That's amazing. Or it's phone a friend, like, hey, do you guys can help out? You can do classes online. Even if it's not a live class, like a Craftsy and different things like that, you can download DVD classes. You can pay for them and everything, but you can go ahead and get those and watch it over and over again. That was how I learned originally how to do brioche knitting. I bought a book, and I paid for one of the classes on Craftsy, and I learned how to do brioche knitting. And I made a project, which I have. Where did I put that? I have not shown you guys that first project, and I do have it. I got it back. I got it back, and I was going to show that, but it's, I don't know where I set it. So we'll have to do that another day. But I was able to take that, and it was a skill I wanted to learn. And okay, I'm not gonna lie. I remembered the book, and I'm like, I'm paying for the class. That was it. I was 100% it. I remembered the almost going to tears with trying to teach myself and going, you know what? I don't have to do that. I don't have to, drive myself crazy on trying to pick up and understand a technique that truthfully isn't that difficult. It's just not sinking in. That's it. It wasn't sinking in. So I purchased the class, and I was able to do that. And then this last year, I did an in-person class at my local yarn store with brioche again, because I had just made that one project and didn't do it anymore. It's like, I did it. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to say I could do it, and I did. So I was happy. And I did some other simple brioche and a couple of the shawls I made designed by Stephen West, but not intricate, huge brioche projects. So I took another class and everything, and that was enjoyable, and kind of picked up on some things and trying to do the, from memory. But it is just one of those, it was hitting me so hard on what we have available to us and how we can just up our skills, and we can do anything we want. Do you want to do lace? Have you never done lace? Is it intimidating to you? There's primers on that. There are. And lace is just intentional holes, okay? Whether it's knitting or crocheting, because I was crocheting lace decades before I ever picked up the knitting needles and tried to do it. Yeah, I mean, lace doilies, tablecloths, runners, made a lace, crocheted bedspread. I had the crocheted lace down. That was no doubt. And it was years later that I started doing knitting, and now I do knitting lace. I mean, I can do both. I've got that. But if you want to learn those techniques, everything's at your fingertips, and it's not hard. It's just a couple stitches, right? We know that. If you've got crocheting down, tablecloths, doilies, runners, mandalas now. Okay, we called them doilies back in the day. Just saying. You've got all of those things, and you can do it in bedspread thread. I did, but you don't have to. Work on it on something larger. That's what a lot of mandalas are. And then the other one on that, with those particular types of things, they'll do it in worsted weight yarn and turn them into blankets. Hello, that's gorgeous. So use the yarn and the materials that are comfortable for you. That's why I started off with the worsted weight yarn. And I highly recommend that for anybody who's looking at making a pair of socks, their first pair of socks. I've said this one before. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I mean, if you want to search out this book and you want to get this book, more power to you. Let's see, it's Inspirations. It is Creative Strickadine. I don't know if that's like socks, knitting socks. I'm not sure. And it's number 63S. And I don't know what year it is. I'm going to put that right there. I don't know what year it is. I don't know if it's still available in any way, shape, or form. I have no clue. But if you want to get this, of course, by all means, get it. If you're looking at, I'm interested in making my first pair of socks and I've never done it before, I personally highly recommend. It's a sock pattern on Ravelry. It's called Easy Peasy Socks. It is made in worsted weight yarn. It is free. And it goes through step by step, and it gives you a great primer on how to do the sock construction. And you're doing it on, larger needles. I don't know if it's 8s, anywhere from 5s to 8s. I don't remember, but you're doing it on bigger needles and using worsted weight yarns, probably on 5s, because you do want a denser fabric for socks than you would like on a sweater. For my sweaters, I use 8s for worsted weight yarn. 5s would be too dense, but 5s for socks, perfect, because you want that density. But if you want to learn the mechanics and you want to not invest a lot, well, it's a free pattern. You're not investing a lot. Worsted weight yarn, you probably have some. And the cuff on it is short because, hey, you've got the technique you've learned. The leg on it is not real long because, again, you're just getting the technique. And then it gets into the heel and all that other stuff. But it's showing you and giving you confidence. It would have been nice if I would have got to learn on those. I'm not going to lie. I probably wouldn't have been wanting to just pull my hair out and everything and cry. I'm happy that I persevered. I'm happy that I pushed forward like I will do this. I think in some instances, when we do that, regardless of what the technique is, your first sweater, your first pair of socks, your first anything, there's a sense of pride because you did it. You accomplished it. There was a sense of pride for me. Was it perfect? Oh gosh, no. Oh my gosh, of course not. Of course not. But I still was very proud of myself because I figured it out. It still hit me so much that I wanted the second book because this is nostalgia. I wanted that second one that wasn't as loved. Am I getting rid of this one? No. No, this has been loved. This earned every crease. This earned every wrinkle. I'm surprised I didn't have notes in it, but that's probably because I got in trouble when I was really, really little. And I had written in a book, and I used a yellow crayon. So I knew that I probably shouldn't be doing this. And the reason I say I knew this is because I used the yellow crayon, but I scribbled in a Bible. I was very little, and it was like the front pages. I do remember that. Very little. Yellow crayon, you could still see all the words because I didn't use a darker crayon. So part of me, even at a young age, knew I probably shouldn't do that. It's like the crayon version of a highlighter. Yeah, not a good thing. I got in trouble, and I don't like writing in books at all. So getting older, and they're like, hey, take notes, or like college books and everything, that you paid for and everything, you can highlight and everything. Oh no, you can highlight it, you can write. No. Why? Because I colored in the front pages of a Bible when I was a very little girl. No, that is naughty. So, we learn lessons. We learn lessons. I'm just telling you, I learned. So it's the hardest thing for me ever to write in a book. No, and then I see people today, that they will have their Bibles and they have the notes and they have the writing in there, and I have the Bible pens and stuff. I cannot bring myself to use them. I cannot do that. And even though but you want to highlight and save this passage. You want to know what this is. You want to highlight your book with your notes and what you did so you can do it again. No, I can't do it. It is the hardest thing for me to do. Have I highlighted in books? Yes. Very rarely. It's very naughty. It's very So we have our lessons, right? We all have our lessons. We all learn our different things. That was where I learned my stuff on that one. Of all books ever, that's what I did. And like I said, it was a yellow crayon. Some part of me knew I probably shouldn't be doing that, right? Yeah. Okay. Because you could still see the words. Naughty. So I don't have notes in here. Had I not done that as a little girl, I would have had notes, and then I could look at it and I'd have the nostalgia of, oh, I wrote in here, this is the part that got me upset, or this is the part that confused me. And it would have been nice to have seen that as that after the fact, but yeah, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I have a sticky, and I don't know, it's A126. I don't know what that's for. I don't know what that's in reference to. I'm not sure, because that's not the patterns, the numbers on the patterns. They don't have that as a A126 or anything like that. So I'm not really sure what that's in reference to, but yeah, I don't have any other notes in there. I don't have anything else, in the margins scribbled going, hey, what does this mean? I'm on row 5. I don't have any of that. Nope. Everything it's yellowed. The pages are yellowed from age, but none of that. No. Do you guys have anything like that? Different lessons that, really struck you as a child that you've taken with you, and you can, and I understand why I got in trouble, right? I get that. But that you can take and everything, and you're like, okay, let that go. You can write in books. You can do that. You can underline. You can highlight. You can do those types of things. Nope. But yeah, that one's mine. I would have liked to have had the notes. I would have liked to have had my thought process as I was going through this and learning, like I see other people will write their notes because it's my book. It's my pattern. I can do that. And that would have been nice. That nostalgia reason would have been nice. But I do have the original. I do have my copy. I have my books. So I can play with that. And I can look at this and I can be proud, because reading that again, it doesn't confuse me. Reading that again, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I haven't pulled this out for a while. That's amazing. It has all those different size charts on how to do this for all of these different socks. It's all the numbers are there. I don't have to look at it and think about it. And it tells you which yarn. I know what my yarns are. I know what my gauges are. I can just grab one of these, pick it up and go. Why have I not? I'm surprised this hasn't been more loved than it has been, right? I'm like, that's brilliant. And I'm liking, now that I've gotten better, okay, here, I'll do this one because it looks better. Now that I've gotten better and I've talked about wanting to do different types of colorwork socks, these are things that I would have never done in the beginning, because that's like colorwork, stranding, socks. That's like way too many things. Look at that. Look at those right there. Oh my gosh. I could do those now where I couldn't in the past. I could do that with the multiple colors, because you're, stranded color work. And I never understood how people would actually do argyle socks. Are you kidding me? How does that even happen? You've got strands, you've got colors. I could do that. So my skills have progressed enough that I can do any of the things in here. How wonderful to be able to have this as, even though nothing's been written in it, it's like a scrapbook. It's a physical display of progress, a physical display of what I was able to overcome and how I was able to do the stuff and persevere, my favorite word, persevere and move on. Wow, that to me is absolutely amazing. It really is. Oh, wow. I don't know if you can hear the wind. I should probably go pretty soon, go comfort the dog. Today, I went to work, didn't even wear a jacket. It's Colorado. I had a jacket in the car. I'm not stupid, right? I mean, it's Colorado. It can change like that. But I didn't, that's it. You know, walked in, walked out, all this stuff. No coat. We got snow. It's up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts outside. It went from no coat to we've got this, and just east of us is under blizzard warning. Again, it's whatever. It is what it is. It's Colorado, no big deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and comfort my little feral puppy who does not like the wind, and I'm gonna take this downstairs with me and kind of look through those books again, and yeah, look at what other types of socks I want to make. I mean, it's exciting to have this physical of improvement. It's like a book version of the Tackle It series. In the Tackle It series, I've been able to see with some of my older projects, my improvement and just physically touch and everything, the fabrics and things that I was working on. And this, I'm able to visually see with the book what confused me and brought me to tears back in the past, to where now I'm like, oh, there's not a single thing in this book I can't do. Not a single thing. Wow. That is amazing. With that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. You guys have a great day, night, evening, whatever it happens to be. And I will talk to you again later. Bye-bye.